Moving on with my report, I'd like to call on the Fire Department command staff. I believe Fire Chief Bruce Siegel, Deputy Chief Tracy Nadashak will take over with announcements of awards for this evening. And am I deferring the podium to Captain Wheeler? Captain Mike Wheeler, if you would take it from here.
Thank you. President Ostenberg, Village Trustees, Tom Mick, guests. We are here this evening to confer awards upon members in recognition of outstanding accomplishments and for exceptional performance by a unit or an individual. The selection of the award recipient is based upon defined criteria for which a member may be considered for each department award and prescribes procedures to be followed when a member is being recommended for a department award. The first award presented this evening is the Firefighter of the Year Award. This award will be presented to the firefighter who best exemplifies by his or her performance the principles and purposes of the fire service and the Park Forest Fire Department. This award is open to all ranks of Park Forest Fire Department. The board, when considering nominees, shall review the record of the nominee with special attention given to the preceding year. Such factors as performance as measured by evaluation and supervisors' observations, attendance, appearance, dedication to duty, and efforts towards self-improvement will be considered. This award will be presented in the form of a plaque, medal, ribbon bar, and certificate. Captain Tilley began his career as a volunteer firefighter in 1973. I think that's a little bit before you. And has given the village over 40 years of dedicated service. Captain Tilley leads by example in everything he does, and in his time with the Park Forest Fire Department has set an example for all firefighters to follow. After 40-plus years of service, you might think that he would start to slow down, but nothing could be further from the truth. Captain Tilley retired from his full-time job as a truck driver last year and has used his newfound time off to dedicate even more time to the fire service. He is very active in the department's training, helping to mentor our newer members, and works as an instructor with the fire science program offered through Prairie State College. Over the past 40 years, Captain Tilley has been the most consistent paid-on-call member on the department. No matter what time of the day or night, he continually answers the call of duty, responding in the middle of the night, on weekends, and on holidays, when many others members do not. When inducted into the Park Forest Hall of Fame in 2013, Captain Tilley was quoted as saying, "It's a matter of serving your community in a job you love to do." Captain Tilley's professionalism, exhibited daily, is in keeping with the highest traditions of the fire service, and for these reasons, Captain William Tilley was selected as Firefighter of the Year. By order of the Fire Chief, the Firefighter of the Year Award is presented to paid-on-call Captain William Tilley. The Meritorious Unit Commendation Award is presented to an individual or unit who has demonstrated exceptional skill, proficiency, and dedication to duty while operating under an emergency incident. It will be presented in the form of a medal, ribbon bar, and certificate. On October 10th, 2013, at 8:35 a.m., the fire department was dispatched to a reported structure fire at 354 Winona Street. Upon arrival, Engine 50, with crew of Lieutenant Philip Myers and firefighter paramedics Patrick Heisel, Kevin Grove, and James Bond, with Ambulance 65 and the crew of firefighter paramedics Neil Grove and Tyler Treemstra, found a small one-story residential home with heavy fire showing. The fire had already self-ventilated through a bay window and the fire room had flashed over. Lieutenant Myers assumed command and ordered responding members to begin an offensive interior attack. Fire crews entered the building with a charged 1 3/4-inch handline to attempt an interior attack and conduct a primary search. Crews found smoke conditions down to the floor and felt intense heat from the flashover in the fire room. Due to these conditions, Lieutenant Myers had the attack line repositioned to darken down the fire from an exterior position. After the fire was cooled, Engine 50's crew quickly re-entered the fire building and made a direct attack on the fire and extinguished the fire while a backup crew performed a search of the house for victims. Because of the quick command decisions made and the ability of the fire crews to carry out and perform tactical orders, this fire was quickly controlled and all residents were accounted for and treated. The crew exhibited exceptional professional skill and demonstrated their ability to apply new tactical objectives to meet the needs of the fire scene. Lieutenant Paramedic Myers, Firefighter Paramedic James Bond, Firefighter Paramedic Kevin Grove, Firefighter Paramedic Neil Grove, Firefighter Paramedic Patrick Heisel, and Firefighter Paramedic Tyler Treemstra's devotion to duty is in keeping with the highest traditions of the fire service and reflects credit upon themselves, the fire department, and the village of Park Forest. By order of the fire chief, the Meritorious Unit Commendation Award is presented to Lieutenant Philip Myers, Firefighter Paramedic James Baum, Firefighter Paramedic Kevin Grove, Firefighter Paramedic Neil Grove, Firefighter Paramedic Patrick Heisel, 2 stars, and Firefighter Paramedic Tyler Treemstra. The Life-Saving Award is given to a member of the department for an act or series of actions in which the life of another is saved. The standard to be met is the if not for test. It will be presented in the form of a medal, ribbon bar, and certificate. On February 14, 2013, the fire department was dispatched to 241 Early Street for a lift assist. Ambulance 63 responded to this triple call situation with paramedics William Bry and Neil Grove. Paramedics Bry and Grove arrived on the scene to find an 84-year-old man who had fallen on the bathroom floor and was bleeding from a cut on his nose. As they were treating the patient, his eyes rolled back and he stopped breathing. Paramedics Bry and Grove immediately called for additional assistance and began CPR. Lieutenant Bobson, paramedic William Toberman Jr. arrived on the scene after paramedics Brian Grove had moved the patient from the bathroom. All of these paramedics then took part in patient care, including cardiac monitoring, defibrillation, IV access, intubation, and drug therapy. Through the efforts of these individuals, the patient regained a cardiac rhythm and pulse while en route to St. James Hospital. The actions of this crew were recognized by South Cook County EMS with an outstanding call letter and gold seal for a pre-hospital save for their actions on this incident. Lieutenant Paramedic William Bry and firefighter paramedics Neil Grove and William Toberman Jr.'s devotion to duty is in keeping with the highest traditions of the fire service and reflect credit upon themselves, the fire department, and the village of Park Forest. By order of the fire chief, the life-saving medal is presented to Lieutenant Paramedic William Bry, 4th Star, firefighter paramedic Neil Grove, and firefighter paramedic William Toberman Jr. The life-saving award is given to a member of the department for an act or series of actions in which the life of another is saved. The standard to be met is, if not for, test. It will be presented in the form of a medal, ribbon bar, and certificate. On Thursday, November 21st, 2013, Park Forest police officers Robert Johnson and Alex Bregan were exercising while off-duty in the police department fitness facility when they heard a vehicle's horn being blown in the front parking lot. As they went to investigate, they found a male driver who advised them that his 82-year-old wife was in medical distress. He told the officers, "You have to help my wife. She's dying." Officer Bregan immediately summoned paramedics as Officer Johnson went to check the woman, who was found unresponsive and not breathing. These officers quickly removed her from the car, laid her down on the floor in the gym, and began to administer CPR. As they opened her airway, this action caused her to suddenly gasp, and she began breathing on her own. They checked for any obstructions in her airway, and then laid her head on a workout bag to keep it stable as they waited for the paramedics. The arriving paramedics performed advanced life support care and transported her to St. James Hospital emergency room. Officers Johnson and Bregan are to be commended for their quick actions and immediate response to someone in dire need. The actions of these officers are yet another example of the professionalism and skill demonstrated by members of our fire and police departments each and every day. These men and women report for their shifts dedicated to the safety and health of the citizens and visitors to Park Forest, often stepping in to make the worst moments of someone's life a little better than they found it. Officers Johnson and Bregan's devotion to duty is in keeping with the highest traditions of the police service and reflects credit upon themselves, the police department, and the village of Park Forest. By order of the fire chief, the life-saving medal is presented to Officers Johnson and Officer Bregan. This concludes the ceremony, and on behalf of the fire department, we would like to thank today's recipients for their outstanding accomplishments and the board for their continued support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I just want to extend congratulations to all of those who received awards this evening, and to thank all of our firefighter, paramedics, and other public safety officers for the work that they do. You know, I get a lot of phone calls and notes and things from people saying how outstanding our paramedics are and what wonderful services they performed. I never really had the occasion to personally experience that until a few weeks ago. My wife has been transported to the emergency room twice over the last few weeks from our Park Forest paramedics, and I can tell you that it's very satisfying for the individual who's there to know that that a loved one is in the hands of somebody who knows what they're doing. And this last occasion, when she got to the hospital, she was diagnosed with large blood clots in each of her lungs, and the hospital personnel told me that had it not been for the oxygen that was administered to her by the paramedics in transporting her and the quick transport, her life certainly would have been in jeopardy. So I can personally say what I have heard from so many other citizens over the last several years, I can attest to, and I commend you all, because the service that you do for our citizens is just, it's beyond what any of us could ever say in terms of a sincere thank you. So we really appreciate your good work.